If I could leave the class of 2023 with one piece of advice, I'd leave y'all with this. Know that your goals can and will change as you age. Life is short. You can't do everything. So always have some perspective about what's most important at any given moment.
To my fellow graduates, I implore you, embrace the uncertainty that lies ahead. Embrace the diversity of thought, the difference in experience, and the multitude of possibilities that await us. Let us challenge ourselves, push beyond our comfort zones with determination, resilience, and unwavering belief in yourself.
Regular board meeting a regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of McAllen Independent School District will be held today, Monday, June 12, 2023, beginning at 5:04 p.m.
Changing something about yourself, it's not easy. But try even if you fail. That's what maturity is.
Items listed on this agenda may be taken in order other than as shown on this agenda, unless removed from the consent agenda. Items identified within the consent agenda will be acted on at one time. At this meeting, there may be discussion and action by the board on the items and subjects listed as follows. Number one, we will call the meeting to order. It has been called to order at 5:04 p.m. Number two, we will do the invocation. I will do the invocation. Loving Father, as we gather at this, we pray for your guidance. As we work to the best of our abilities so that all in our care will reach their potential, may we treat all with respect and kindness. May our decisions be based on careful consideration and wise choices. Help us to make this school district a community to be proud of, where people feel included and welcomed. Amen. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. Please be seated. The next thing on our agenda is public comment. We have 4 individuals sign up to speak this evening. Number one is Axel Cruz. Mr. Cruz, if you want to make your way, and I will go over the long BED exhibit. Actually, Mr. Saldana, our board attorney, do I have to read the entire thing every time?
Generally, it is, ma'am.
It is? I feel like we should have a video, just like play the video.
Well, can we just post that somewhere?
Yeah.
We could.
Okay. Well, for right now, since we haven't posted anywhere, we haven't made a video, and maybe Mark May can come up with some great video that we can run right now.
Good job.
I will read this long BED exhibit statement for introducing the public comments segment of a board meeting. The board encourages public comments at all board meetings according to board policy BED, local board meetings, public participation, and related district administrative procedures and practices. Number one, persons wanting to make a statement to the board are required to register with the superintendent secretary an hour prior to the start of the scheduled meeting. Number two, audience participation at a board meeting is limited in the early stages of a meeting. At all other times during a board meeting, the audience shall not enter into discussion or debate on matters being considered by the board unless requested. Number three, each participant is limited to 2 minutes per meeting to make comments to the board. Number four, at a regular board meeting, the board shall permit public comments regardless of whether the topic is an item on the agenda posted with notice of the meeting. Number five, all other board meetings, public comments shall be limited to only items on the agenda posted with the notice of the meeting. Number six, the board shall not deliberate or decide regarding any subject that is not included on the agenda posted with notice of the meeting. If an issue mentioned is on tonight's agenda, the board will defer discussion of the issue until the appropriate time during the meeting. Number seven, should the speaker drift from the stated subject or becomes disruptive or abusive, he or she shall be given one warning. If a second warning is required, then the speaker may forfeit the remaining time allotment. The board shall not tolerate disruption of the meeting by members of the audience. Number eight, the board has adopted complaint policies that are designed to secure, at the lowest administrative level, a prompt and equitable resolution of complaints and concerns. Please refer to the following policies: student and/or parent complaints, policy FNG; employees, policy DGBA; citizens, policy GF. Okay, so now I've gone through that. Number one, is Mr. Cruz here? Axel Cruz? Okay, number two, Blanca Luna. Number three, Mr. Jewell, Jerry Jewell. He will be speaking on the row pool facility, and once he starts, he will be given 2 minutes uninterrupted.
How about some handouts? All right, it's me again. Here we are. You know what I'm going to talk about. We're going to talk about the pools. What I've handed out to you is just some pictures from the middle school district meet that was on May 22nd. The reason I bring these pictures to you is that this is indicative of every single high school meet we have in this pool. You cannot walk around the pool. It's incredibly crowded. There's nowhere to sit. What you see is not people trying to get in the door. That's people standing there because they cannot get in. I also mentioned that there was no working AC at the district meet, and it was over 90 degrees outside. We were here having this. I was giving you public comment while this was going on. And the Roan Auditorium is a greenhouse. So if it's 90 outside, it's hotter inside, and it's steamy, and it's humid. I heard from several parents that they just had to leave. They couldn't stay in there. Besides that, if you see this crowd, it's also a safety hazard. It's, you know, if something happened, we got problems. Again, there's only one toilet in the boys' locker room for all the male swimmers. I've literally seen lines of boys outside the bathroom doing the potty dance because they can't get into the bathroom. So what I'm asking for is not just because I think we should have something nicer. What I'm asking for is because what we have now is just not up to the standards that we should be at for the parents, for the students. You know, and it's when you drive past a new press box that's costing millions of dollars, and then there's parents and students sitting in suffocating heat. The renovations, I know they're going to start. I've got 20 seconds left, so I'll just also mention that our swim season is one of the longest sports seasons. Our students start in the summer, they start in August, and the season ends in February. So they're going through this all year, and it's a lot of work. So please consider putting a new natatorium at the top of the list, even though I can tell that budget is very tight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Joel. Number 4 is Frank Chavero. Thank you, Mr. Chavero. He is going to give an update on the mariachi program and budget items.
Good afternoon, school board members, superintendent, those in attendance. My name is Frank Chavero, and I'm here in support of the school board creating a middle school mariachi program. I had the opportunity to meet with Trustee Erica de la Garza Lopez today. It was a very nice meeting. Thank you, Trustee. Where we discussed several topics, including the path forward for the hiring of 3 directors for the middle school program. I and other mariachi booster parents and community members look forward to meeting with each of you individually in the next few months to continue our advocacy for this much-needed program at the middle school level. We also look forward to our continued in-person meetings with Ms. Loya, who's been great, by the way, and very gracious and open with her time, about the plan, her plan to have this program in place and the necessary full-time positions. In spite of not having a middle school program like other districts around McAllen, the McAllen Mariachi is a 7-time state champion in head-to-head competitions. Multiple years in a row, UIL's Division I sweepstakes winner at the regional and state level, been invited to perform at the venues such as Hollywood Bowl, to perform at the prestigious Mariachi USA Musical Festival, Carnegie Hall, which will be next summer, and others, and been featured as the only high school mariachi group on the Warner Brothers promotion for the latest Shazam movie. So as you can see, this group has been very good and at what they do. The directors do a tremendous job. And as you discuss the budget today, we ask that you consider some positions for this middle school program. I got 20 seconds left. So in closing, as you consider the budget for 2024-25, we ask that you keep in mind the importance of how enriching music is in the lives of children, specifically mariachi music, and what you can do today to have an impact on them tomorrow. Go Mariachi Oro. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much. All right, we will now go to item number 5, the public hearing to discuss 2023-2024 budget and proposed 2023 tax rate. Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes, ma'am. Welcome to the public hearing. In this hearing, we will be discussing the fiscal year 2023-2024 budget and proposed tax rate. We have Ms. Adele Felix, our Assistant Superintendent for Business Operations, who will proceed with the presentation. Ms. Felix.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. Tonight, we hold a public hearing in regards to our 23-24 fiscal year budget and proposed 2023 tax rate. After the presentation, we invite anyone to provide public comment in regards to these 2 items. Per truth in taxation, notice of public meeting must be posted 10 days prior, but not to exceed 30 days of the public meeting. Our notice was published on June 2nd, 2023, meeting this requirement, and this is a snippet of what was posted on the newspaper. Based on our estimated comptroller's values and current law, the Laredo County Appraisal District preliminary values as well, our maintenance and operation tax rate is proposed at 93.38 cents, a reduction of 8.68 cents. Our interest and sinking tax rate is proposed at 6.73 cents, a reduction of 0.0085 cents, for a total tax rate of 1.0011 for every $100 home value. However, to keep in mind, if a House Bill 1 does pass in this session, then it'll be an additional compression of 16.5 cents. Or subject to any other discussions that we have in the next budget workshop. Our budget summary report is published on our website, comparing our current year to our proposed budget by function code, meaning types of services that are performed, as well as the per pupil expenditures. And this is just a breakdown of what we've been presenting at the workshop. Our proposed budget is going with a projection of average daily attendance of 18,181, including an average daily attendance rate of 92.7% based on our trends of the 6 weeks of every This is our 2-year budget comparison of revenues by object code, including our general debt service, and as a district, we opt to adopt a capital projects fund. So we have total proposed revenues of $259,245,793, and including our fund balance contributions of the rollover of the ESSER local of $20,200,958. Our general fund assignment to cover our assigned deficit is $4.2 million, and our maintenance tax note carry forward of $1.2 million for a total proposal budget of $284,987,684. This schedule shows our appropriations, a budget summary by our fund numbers. So again, the totals remain the same, of a total of general fund of $266,011,253. Our debt service appropriations total $6,734,000, and our capital projects funds of $12,242,331 for a total appropriation budget of $284,987,584. We could the difference and the major items I'll focus on is on food service fund 101. The increase of $873,515 is due to cost of food, inflation cost of our cost of food. Our special education, we increase in identified students, which also increases our needs to provide services to those students. Our reduction of $16,677,000 is because of ESSER local projects being completed as they're going through the process. And our general fund of the $21,513,000, and that was the part of the ESSER reclass that we did in the previous year. Those are the differences. We have our 2-year budget comparison by appropriation by object code. So again, the numbers are the same, but they are by object code. And this, our grand total of $284,987,584. And the key here is that our payroll costs make up about 81% of our entire budget. Required by our Texas Education Code section 29.081, a district that is required to provide accelerated instruction shall separately budget funds, including compensatory education allotment, and this compares to previous years. And this just summarizes it all together by general fund, a debt service, and our option to adopt the capital projects based on revenues and our appropriations by function code. And it brings in our assignment of general fund, making it a balanced budget.
Madam Chair, I have one question on payroll costs for the proposed budget. That is assuming what scenario or?
That, this is going in with a 0% because anything that we pull, will be a fund balance
General
pool.
fund. Okay, got it. Thank you.
And now,
And it's still an increase from last year?
yes, because it's an increase in the percentage because we adopted a increase of almost $1 million subsequent to the original budget. So when the previous budget was presented, there was an increase of almost $930,000 additional to add a 0.5 increment to everybody, as well as the adjustment to keep all professionals at $1,700.
Okay.
That was that increased cost. That concludes the public hearing, and now we welcome it for.
Thank you so much. That concludes the public hearing. Now we welcome any public comments. Would anybody like to approach the mic and ask questions or make comments?
Did I understand that the tax rate is going down?
Correct.
And could I ask why?
Okay, we are being, yes, thank you. It is actually decreasing about 9 cents in total, and that is due to compression because of local values, as well as a declared disaster that was declared last year that is no longer we can't declare this year.
So what is the dollar amount that impacts our budget going down 9 cents?
9 cents at 915, almost 9 million, a little bit over $9 million.
So that's $9 million less that the district gets.
Correct.
Any more questions? Nobody out there wants to ask any more questions?
Any more comments?
Any more comments? Okay, that will end the public hearing portion. Now we will go to item number 6, the superintendent's report. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, ma'am. McAllen ISD is very proud of the job that we've done with regard to graduating our kids, but really capturing the story of graduation. Last week was a very special week for us. It's what we're here for with regard to getting kids out into the world. So we have a short video that highlights our graduation.
If I could leave the class of 2023 with one piece of advice, I'd leave y'all with this. Know that your goals can and will change as you age. Life is short. You can't do everything. So always have some perspective about what's most important at any given moment.
To my fellow graduates, I implore you, embrace the uncertainty that lies ahead. Embrace the diversity of thought, the difference in experience, and the multitude of possibilities that await us. Let us challenge ourselves, push beyond our comfort zones with determination, resilience, and unwavering belief in yourself. Make a lasting difference in whatever path we choose.
Realizing and doing are completely different tasks. It's very hard. Changing something about yourself, it's not easy. But try even if you fail. That's what maturity is. To understand you have problems and routinely work towards going past them, even if you stumble on the way.
Over the past 4 years, we have all, I think, experienced some of the best days of our lives, or rather, some of the best moments of our lives, however small they may be. However small our interactions may have been, everyone has had an impact on them, as we all have had on each other. Growing apart doesn't change the fact that for a long time, we grew side by side. Our roots will always be tangled, and I'm glad for that. As we stand on the precipice of our future, I want to remind you to live in courage and excitement. We are all given one life, make the absolute most of it.
You don't want that to end.
That was the best video of a graduation we have ever seen.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
Well done, Mark.
I agree. Good job to Mark, MITV, and everybody there. And it just reminds us, I know that we're in a situation right now where it's tough times, and you hear budget workshops where there's a little bit of discourse, but know that this board and this administration supports our students and our staff, and that's why the board asks us these tough questions, and that's why the administration doesn't back down, because those kids are counting on us to get it done. So on behalf of the administration, I do want to thank our board for all that you do for us, and on behalf of the administration, I also want to wish all our graduates the very best in your next chapter. To all the moms and dads out there, job well done, and McAllen ISD is going to keep rocking and rolling.
God bless.
Yeah, that was wonderful.
Is that on our social media?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that on the front page of our website?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that was really good. Okay, we'll go to number 7, recognitions. There are none. Number 8, proclamations. There are none. Number 9, donations. There are none. Number 10, consent agenda items. We've pulled all the consent agenda items and put them in the regular meeting portion for this meeting only, just so that everybody kind of has an understanding of what they are. And then at our next meeting, we'll go back to, so this is going to be kind of long, a lot longer than usual. Instead of voting at one time for 20 things, we're going to go through all 20 things. So, number 11, instructional services, instructional leadership, human resources, district operations, business operations, and board of trustee items. 11A, instructional services items, Dr. Dosalba de Hoyos, instructional leadership items, Bridget B. 11A1, discussion and possible action on request for proposal 2021-1000R, library books, ebooks, textbooks, audiovisual materials, and instructional reading materials, discount from list round 23. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, Madam President. Dr. De Hoyos is currently in Salamanca, Spain, with 20 of our students there at the University of Salamanca, gaining college credit and going through all kinds of different adventures. So we have Adele Felix and we have Alejandra Gonzalez who will fill in there, but administration solicited proposals from vendors to provide these products and services on an as-needed basis. Again, Dr. De Hoyos is not in town, but we do have Ms. Ann Vega, our Director for Digital Learning and Library Services here. We also have Adele, and we also have Alice. So.
If I may,
yes.
Madam Trustee, just to fill in the new board members, our request for proposal process before had solicitations where we would renew every 3 years. So if you didn't make that cut, then new vendors had to wait 3 years, or we'd have to have supplemental. So back in 2018, we began the rolling request for proposals. We refer to them as RFPs. And that at that point, it just remains open for a duration of 3 years, so vendors can come on. We started it with every 3 to 4 months. Then we moved to every 6 months so that vendors could join, and then we just did it monthly. So at any given point, they stay open, and then we close them for that. So you'll see the round, and that's what all the following ones have a round. That's how many times we've opened and closed. And we take them on a monthly basis before the board so that we can make sure that we award as many vendors as possible to meet the needs on the instructional side. Any questions on that?
We're requesting action on this item.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved, Madam President. Move to approve.
It's been moved by trustee Saldivar, second by trustee De La Garza. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes 7-0. Item 11A2, discussion and possible action on request for proposal 2021-1005, professional development, site licenses, supplemental materials, and other related products and services, round 25. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, Madam President. Administration solicited proposals from vendors to provide these products and services on an as-needed basis. We have the team here along with Alexandra Molina, Alex Molina, who is our Director of Child Nutrition and Purchasing, here to answer any questions you might have, but we are requesting action on this item.
Do you want to explain again, Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes, and so this is another one of those that we just saw the benefit in allowing vendors to step in at any point in time. This one is particularly professional. It's three areas: professional development, site licenses, and any additional instructional materials that they may need on the educational side. So we'd like to welcome vendors as often as possible.
Madam President. And in this one, there's 4 additional individuals, 4 vendors that are part of this request for approval tonight.
Correct.
Could you explain as to how this works when it comes to our staff and how they utilize this list?
So this professional, we refer to it, and when I was in purchasing, referred to it as a professional development request for proposal. So basically, anytime they want to bring in a professional to provide services to their teachers, they want to train teachers, that's a professional development component, anything related to staff development. The next part is site licenses. So when they have a certain program, a software program that they want to buy, or perhaps they went to a conference and they realized, we have a new and improved program to track student data. Anything like that, that would fall under site licenses. And then instructional materials would be any supplemental instructional material that a teacher would use aside from textbooks. So that's where those three components are broken up. And this particular one is round 25, so we've brought it before the board 24 different times, adding vendors each time. So it allows teachers, principals, anybody wanting to purchase any of those three items, it allows them more vendors to choose from because these are already awarded vendors on our solicitation.
So they look for the vendor that meets their needs and it's already been pre-approved, and so they
Correct.
select that and make the arrangements and
Yes,
go
sir.
on.
Yes, sir.
Before we did this, what was the steps required and how much time would it normally have taken in the past?
So before 2018, the solicitation would be open for that 2-week period, and the vendors would get awarded for 3 years. But nobody could penetrate. It was closed. You couldn't get back in. So my predecessor at the time when I was in purchasing would just open supplemental. But when you do a supplemental, vendors forget, am I on this one when it's expiring? Am I on this one? So vendors were slipping off, and I saw the need for that. And so I we did some research, and we looked into it. And so we figured out we could do a rolling one. And it's within the law, and it allows you just to continue opening and closing to allow more vendors to not slip off. So they will all they have a coterminous end date. So whenever the actual solicitation expires, it all expires. So in the last year, we don't bring it as often to the board because they're only going to be on for a year. But then we go back out and start the process all over again for 3 years and adding throughout the 3-year term for a coterminous ending date.
Very well explained, clear and concise. Thank you.
So
Thank you,
I
Madam.
do have one question. So are these for new suppliers, or is this in addition to another current list?
So it's all new suppliers. So ones that are already awarded stay awarded through the 3-year term, or whenever they joined in. It could be 1.5 years, 2 years. The ones we bring forward. These are new ones that we've added to the existing.
So I would love to see. Is it the 719? Not that I want to see all the vendors, but just so that way when people say, oh, we don't have enough options, like you could say, we have over 900 that are already current, plus we just approved 4 more. Like,
It's on our website.
Correct. Yes, it's on our website.
Okay.
And we have there's a bidding portal called Ion Wave that we moved to also in about 2019. I want to say it was 2019. We moved over to that. So vendors would register and they sign up to their commodity code. A commodity code is basically, I would say simple, something like if you go to Whataburger, you order a number 1, you know exactly what it is, and number 2. Well, everything in education has a commodity code, so they sign up according to that. If they're a restaurant, they sign up for that. So they receive the notices. We also send them invites. If somebody tells us, oh, we need a certain vendor on, but they haven't signed up, we contact them and show them instructions on how to sign on to Ion Wave to become a registered vendor, and then suggest that they submit a proposal. So it's all done online, and we're able to see progress throughout. So sometimes the vendors will say, well, I submitted, but we can see it's kind of like a download bar where it's not completed, so they may have left something off. So we can always follow up and say, hey, we noticed that you're almost completing it, but you're not there. Do you need any help? So that's the kind of service that the Purchasing Services Department does.
perfect. Thank you.
And in this case, we're up to 294, right?
And in this particular
Is that in here?
Yes, if you look on the last sentence. of the-
294 vendors.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
I would love to entertain a motion.
So move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by trustee Peña, second by trustee Rivera. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes 7-0. 11A3, discussion and possible action on request for proposal number 2022-1038, special education equipment, supplies, services, and related products, round 13. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, ma'am. And this is the same type of agenda item, only in the area of special education. The team is here to answer any questions. We also have Maribel Elizondo, who is here as well. And we are requesting action on this item around special education equipment, supplies, services, and related products.
This will bring us to 41 vendors
I see
available.
that. Thank you.
I move to approve, Madam President.
Second.
It's been moved by trustee Saldivar, second by trustee De La Garza. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. 11A4, discussion and possible action on the second amendment to Memorandum of Understanding 2022-093, R. Barrera Group LLC DBA New Horizons Learning Academy. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, ma'am, and our relationships with our learning academies are very important to us, and the administration and the vendor would like to amend the insurance requirements on this MOU. We have Adele and we have Ale here. That's Ms. Gonzalez and Ms. Felix here. And also have Ms. Elizabeth Cavazos to answer any questions you might have from our student outreach, and we are requesting action on this item.
One thing, my name is misspelled. Just if you can amend it, it's not A-I-N, it's A-N-E.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any other discussion?
Madam President, could you please explain what specifically?
Yes, sir. Item 11A4 through item 11A7 will be exactly the same. They're an amendment to the original contract. What the Texas Department of Human Services, what they require and what the district requires regarding insurance, liability insurance, are very different. So in order for us to be able to continue, every one of those daycares is meeting the state requirements for their industry, but they're below our standards. So one of the things that we wanted to do, we didn't want to lose those partnerships. We're down to 4. Out of the 4 daycares that we have, 75 students were able to be retained and brought into the district. So we want to target them when they're little. So we were able to keep them. So in order to us not to lose them because of insurance requirements that the district has versus what the daycare industry has, we have a waiver in there that every parent will sign that will indemnify the district. So if in the event that they want to, they'll have to follow the limits of the daycare. And these are all located at the daycare. They're not on district property. So they're following their standards, but we do have a classroom teacher that we provide for them, and we provide the materials also for the daycares. So in order to not lose these partnerships, we worked with legal counsel to be able to create that waiver that parents will sign to make sure it's an indemnification clause that makes sure that they realize that it's the limits of the daycare and not the limits of the district on that insurance.
So what services are being provided at these daycares and for what ages? And
we have a classroom teacher available there for, I believe it's 15 students, and they provide a curriculum. It's a regular instructional day. It's the equivalent. We try to mimic our pre-K program.
So like 4-year-olds?
And we'll see I believe it's 3-year-olds, Lisa, 3-year-olds, but we try to mimic the curriculum like the 4-year-olds so that they're getting a strong foundation before they actually enter our schools. And I'll have Lisa clarify.
Good evening, everyone. So the daycare partners that we have, there are currently 4, just as Ms. Gonzalez mentioned. And if you can imagine exactly what a student would get on a McAllen ISD campus in a pre-K classroom, that's what's happening at these daycare center sites. So the curriculum, the materials, manipulatives, right on down to the colorful rug with all the alphabet and numbers on it, that is what is in the daycare classrooms. Our district pre-K specialist, Ms. Erica Canales, actually works very closely with the daycare center management to make sure that those classroom spaces are functional to meet the needs of the curriculum and the students. So we do have a minimum of 15 students that are required in a classroom to place a teacher. The teacher is a McAllen ISD teacher, of course, delivering that McAllen ISD curriculum. And we have been successful in retaining about 76 to 80% of the students that participate in those programs year over year.
We don't get ADA for that, right?
Yes, ma'am, we do.
We do. Yes. So then, are we growing that?
So we had 9 to begin with, and then after COVID, we've lost a lot of them. They either didn't meet the requirements for the students. At the moment, we're at 4 centers. We always try to create partnerships, but they do have certain requirements that it's based on need, and there are different eligibility. I believe there are 5 criteria. One of the 5 they have to meet, and so we've worked with the partners that we can that are able to meet, but some of them have fallen through only because after the pandemic, a lot of them lost that status.
Mm-hmm. Are they all in McAllen, or are they?
Yes, 100% of them are McAllen. We have not ventured outside of the city limits.
Okay.
Thank you.
Madam President, maybe this is to Mr. Saldana, but how can a parent give up a tort right before an event has occurred? By signing this, they're saying basically, I'm not coming to the district for any additional cause of action for any injury that our teacher may have caused their child. They're only going to be looking to the center only for any tort action? Is that what this waiver is about?
It can do that, yes, sir.
Okay. But how can a person give up a right? Because it is our teacher, so our teacher does something that the parent takes exception to and wishes to take a legal action. Wouldn't they fall into our grievance process requirement and therefore put us at jeopardy?
Not necessarily so.
No.
Okay, when you're talking about a member of the public or a parent, it's relatively limited the amount of administrative remedies that need to be exhausted.
Okay.
Generally, it's a straight to go to the courthouse situation. And that's what, and signing a release of one's particular right to participate in something I don't see any prohibition of that.
Okay.
That I'm aware of.
All right, thank you.
Any further questions?
I don't have any further questions, but I do have a comment. Happy birthday, Lisa.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. I'd love to entertain a motion. Go ahead.
I move to approve item 11A4 through 11A7, since, as I understand it, they're the same items.
Second.
It's been moved by trustee Saldivar and seconded by trustee De La Garza to approve item LA4, LA5, LA6, and LA7. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. We will now go to 11B, Human Resources, Todd Miller. 11B1, report regarding the 2022-2023 McAllen Independent School District Professional Employee Opinion Survey. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, Madam President. The Texas Association of School Boards, otherwise known as TASB, and the district created and conducted an employee opinion survey. We have Mr. Todd Miller, our Assistant Superintendent for HR, who will share more information, and this item is for information purposes only. Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez
You
and
know what,
board.
before you begin, I just want to say that this was on the agenda a meeting ago, and I asked administration to pull it because the report attached didn't make it on to board book. It wasn't anything nefarious or anything. We just wanted to make sure that everybody got to see it in the posted manner. So that's the reason that we pulled it last time, and we're bringing it here. So, Mr. Miller.
Madam President, I appreciate the pause because it allowed us opportunity to get the raw data from TASB, and that's been uploaded in your SharePoint. So they strongly agrees, disagrees, strongly disagrees. It's all in your SharePoint. So I will start real quickly before I turn it over to Ms. Carolina Canchola, but we give cookie trays to the highest participating campuses. So you'll see there, sorry, there you go. Top participating campuses is at high school. Achieve Early College had 93% completion. James Nicky Rose 76%. Middle school Travis 93%, and Victor Fields and Sam Rayburn both had 100%. So all these campuses got cookie trays for their participation. We actively encourage them to maximize participation. And at this point, I want to turn it over, if I can, to Carolina Canchola, recently retired Carolina Canchola, JPCC, but she's graciously accepted
Big smile over
to
there.
come back and just do a quick overview presentation of this data. So Carolina, thank you for coming back, and the floor is yours.
Okay, good evening, board members, Dr. Gonzalez, and members of the audience. My name is Carolina Canchola. I am the chairperson for the Joint Professional Consultation Committee, also known as JPCC. And I'm here to give you the results of our 22-23 Professional Employee Opinion Survey. Just so you're aware of it, we did have an 83% completion rate of this survey, with a total of 1,758 people participating in it, employees, professional employees. In this next slide, I think it's slide 3, it is a representation of the job types. 74%, overall 74% that responded were teachers and librarians. We had 47% of the work location, we had 47% from the elementary, 20% from the middle school, and 27% from the high school. And there are factors that contribute to job satisfaction. We asked the employees to rate their top 5 items. And here we have compensation and benefits was the top one, which was at 72%, up from 71%. We had work that is meaningful, 63%, up from 61%. Job security, 54%, stayed the same from previous year. Safe working conditions, 54%. It was 53% last year. And then relationship with coworkers, we had 53% last year, so it stayed the same. The rest of the survey is using a Likert type scale, which it rates strongly agree, agree, disagree, strongly disagree, and then no opinion or non-applicable. And then in the end, they put the strongly agree and agree together because both of those indicate a positive response. So in slide 6, under job satisfaction, our top one was, I understand what is expected of my job. That was up from 96% to 98%. Then we had, I like the work I do. That went down 1 point. My job allows me to use my skills and abilities, stays at 96%. And then on most days, I feel good about what I've accomplished, 95%. So it's pretty good. We did add 2 areas this year to be more specific, and that was I would recommend my campus, and the other one was I would recommend my department. And both of them still came in at an 85 and an 88%. The lowest area was I would recommend this district as a good place to work. It was at 80%, up 2 percentage points from last year, but it was actually down 10% from 2021. So that's a big drop, 10 percentage points. Under district leadership, we had, this one is working with our superintendent and the board of trustees. Overall, this one was positive. 2 of the areas went up by 2 to 3 percentage points, and then 1 went down by 1, but that's not a big difference. It's just kind of the number of people that responded. Under the next slide, under customer service, this was added last year. We added this, and overall, our customer service is improving. So, and it stayed at, I believe, was it? I know he lost the number. I didn't write that number down here. We'll move to the next slide. Under slide number 9, we have curriculum and instruction support. Overall, the percentages either stayed the same or were at a plus or minus of 1 or 2 points. And, but we did have 3 low areas which really could be higher. The first one is I'm involved in decisions about instructional programs. That was up 1 point from last year to a 62%. Teachers have a role in selecting data analysis, up 4 points from 66 to 70% this year. The third one has to do with special populations resources. It went from a 70 down to a 68%. I would like to add, though, I know the state provides the teachers, the resources, teacher manuals and things like that. But our special populations, the resources aren't there for the teachers. And I witnessed it this year when I was at an in-service where the department personnel, they were passing out information, and my special ed teacher was right there next to me, and they said, "Are you a classroom teacher?" She said, "No, I'm the special ed teacher." And they said, "Oh, you don't get one. We only have enough for the classroom teachers." And I was like, "What?" So I think that is something, and I did address that at a lead meeting, so I think that's something that really needs to make sure that our special ed teachers need the same resources as the regular classroom teachers. And if the state doesn't provide that, then I think the district really needs to provide that for our teachers. And I know that was something in the budget that came up with the special populations, so, I think that needs to be in there. The next slide, slide 10. Under campus environment, all the areas went up for the campus environment. We did add 2 new areas, and that was my campus is cleaned effectively on a regular basis. That was at 87%. And then buildings and grounds are properly maintained. That's 85%. The next slide, slide 11, was student discipline support. All areas went up, although the second one, where it says consistently and fairly enforced, whether the student discipline is consistently and fairly enforced, did come in at 85% in 2021, and then it dropped last year to a 67%. This year did come up 5 percentage points to 72%, but it gives us an indication that we're going up and down with the enforcing the student discipline support, whether it's being enforced there. On the next slide, slide 12, relationships with supervisor. In all areas, we showed growth, and they were clear goals and objectives, training for their jobs, feedback on performance, provide support with problems, allowing employees to make decisions, communication, appreciation, trust, and overall like working with their supervisors. So that was a good positive there. They all came in high scores. In slide 13, relationship with coworkers, here again we have employees who have a good working relationship with their coworkers. They felt they could depend on them, they liked who they worked with, there was loyalty, and that they worked well together. And that says that it's a good sign that things at the campuses are working, that they enjoy who they work with. Under slide 14, working conditions, here we had 3 out of the 5 indicators we had were positive, where the numbers either went up or down or they stayed the same. The 2 areas that went down, the hours I work are reasonable, went down from an 80 to a 77%, and then my workload is appropriate for my position, went from a 73 to a 71%. On the next slide, under district communications, this area, there were 4 out of the 5 areas went up 1 or 2 points, and 1 area stayed the same. So again, that's really good with the communications. District goals are clearly communicated, as well as policies and procedures. Sharing important news is out there. We see a lot of the videos, and those are really nice. And then the recognition of teachers and students and different, employees. And then, of course, my favorite is employees have a way to express concerns through JPCC or through LEAD. And even though we wish that this number would be at 100%, we are happy with it at being 87%. So we just, feel that more people should know that JPCC and LEAD is out there to help them. And then finally, on slide 16, we have compensation and benefits. And the first 2, I know that, these are not eye-openers. I am sure that you are well aware of the pay and whether we are competitive with surrounding districts. My pay is fair for the work I do. The highest average was at 50%, and that was in the previous years. We are now at 34%. So we are way down there. 1/3 of the people feel that it is competitive, and 2/3 feel that it's not.
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Why are half the respondents only responding to these? Do you know why?
Why only half
like
of them?
like for the first 2, and on average it's like 1,300, 1,200, but for these 2, my pay is fair and my pay is competitive. It's only like 400, 500 respondents.
Because the rest they say no.
Yeah.
They disagree. It's easier if you see it on the spreadsheet that's like 3 slides down. It's easier. For me, my brain works better on page 93, and I don't like.
So they did
I don't like
select
these
something,
graphs
so they
because
selected.
they
Okay.
selected disagree or strongly disagree.
But these are comparing year from the previous years.
Yes,
So
I did
how
the
we go up
exact
or
same
down.
thing, Trustee Killiman, and so that's why I asked Mr. Miller to give us in the spreadsheet form, because I was like, wait, what?
Oh, that's better to look at.
Yeah, it's, the presentation is in the affirmative, so that's why you're getting on the graphs, is those that were in the affirmative.
Right.
If you go to the actual chart,
The actual
spreadsheet, you
spreadsheet.
get to see how many
Okay,
are actually in
got
the
it,
negative.
Thank
Or
you.
had no opinion at all.
Or no opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the second one, we did go up on, or it says, my pay is competitive, scored even lower at a 26%. So pay and whether it's fair and competitive is a big issue, and that's being discussed right now in budget. And then we did go up on leave time provided, and I know that an additional 5 days had been given It could have been used for whether it was COVID or other reasons, but those additional 5 days really made a difference for some people. And then the last two having to do with benefits information and questions remains high at 85 and 88%. The benefits department does a great job in getting that information out. Mr. Silva, I commend your department there because we're all, we get information continually and it really keeps people informed. Finally, there is always a comment section that comes with the survey, and you'll see comments from whether people, really love their campus or, they find their campus is dirty or whatever it might be. And if there are several questions or several comments that come up the same, they kind of group them. Now, this year, the JPCC, we did not get a copy of that, and I hope that that will be provided to them in the fall when we resume. But I hope that you all will get a copy of those comments so you see what the different employees are saying. Not everybody responds, but some people do, and those comments are really important to look at. I thank you, and I am open for any questions. This concludes my portion.
Could you explain to the trustees who asked the questions and where the answers go? Like, is this anonymous? Who's getting this data? Who's creating the questions? Could you explain a little bit about
the JPCC, it's like many years back, they formed the survey. Now, every year we do a survey just to get an opinion as to how the employees feel about their campus. And the principals do get a copy of this, and they share those results with their campuses. And then we see, as JPCC, we see the overall district numbers where everything is combined. But each employee, each professional employee, we have the professional and then we have the paraprofessional one as well, which I'm not addressing here. But each employee, classroom teacher, librarian, different administrators, they are the ones that are filling out the professional employee survey. It's an opinion survey. It's based all opinion.
And so if I'm a teacher in the district and I respond, do I respond as myself? You're going to see Debbie Aliceda responded, or is it anonymous?
Oh, no, this comes, we get an email from TASB. Everything is anonymous, and we try to really point that out to people that this cannot come back to you. We don't know, we don't know what Debbie said. We don't know that. So comments are anonymous, your responses are anonymous, and that's also at the beginning where it says, how many years you've, been with the district, and then what your position is. Well, if it was, you've been with the district 10 years and you're the counselor, well, we knew exactly who did that. So we started grouping it into bigger chunks so that it wouldn't, you wouldn't be able to pick, say, oh, I know who that was, or I know who that was. So and when
you
totally anonymous.
When you say TASB, that's Texas Association of School Boards.
Yes.
So they get the information and they return it, and this is the graph that we're seeing now.
Yes, and they have mentioned in the past that McAllen ISD is one of the districts that has the highest participation rate in the state.
That's wonderful. And there was a time where we didn't even show these to the public.
Correct.
There was many years that this was just confidential information. So I thank you so much, the administration, for putting this out there and being very transparent with everybody. The good, the bad, the ugly. We all see it, and we know where we need to improve and where we're doing great. So thank you so much.
And at some of the campuses, if they get, you might have one or two teachers that was like, no, I don't like my supervisor, or no, this is not good. Well, then you have an unhappy person there, and many times that person will want to move campuses. So. Because it's not a fit for
I have
them.
a question. What I know each campus is vary, but overall, what systems are in place to ensure that, you said like 80-ish% completion for the district?
We had 83%. So, and we get, each week, we'll get a message from TASB saying, your campus had 51% respond. And then you'll have the principals will say, okay, guys, we want to get our numbers up. But it doesn't say, well, Carolina hasn't responded or Debbie hasn't responded. It doesn't say that. It doesn't give names. It just gives a percentage. You have these many on your campus. This is how many have responded.
And what's the window of time that it's released until completion?
We start in January, the end of January, and this one ran through spring break.
Okay.
So, and we have extended it in the last few years. We've ran it a little bit longer.
Okay.
Ms. Patterson? It's my understanding it's about a, $10,500 cost to administer
about
this?
$10,000, yes, sir.
Okay. I would prefer it only be staff and not administration in the mix. As I understand it, it's been including administration. Is there a reason why administration is included when it's supposed to be is it because it's an employee climate survey and not necessarily a operational employee survey, or?
That is correct, but if I may interrupt this way, if you look at the spreadsheet in blue, it says the following questions were only presented to teachers and librarians, so that's
Okay.
the group that got those questions. The next blue section is the following questions were presented to teachers, librarians, instructional aides, and other professionals. And just a handful of questions, and then all the other questions is everybody. So you still want to gather what all the other non-teachers, if you will, are feeling.
All right, and what about the other staff, the non-professional staff? Where's those results and how's that administered?
That's a survey that we need to work on as a district, but I'll look to
And
Ally
we
if
have
she has
talked
something for
about that
district
during
operations.
JPCC also.
I have one for district operations where I send it out to everybody, all trades, everybody in district operations. In fact, we just sent it out 2 weeks ago. So I'll do that twice a year, just to make sure we see improvement in the culture and climate of my team. And then the idea is that once we evaluate it with the directors, that they work on self-improvement. So it's continuous improvement through self-evaluation, which is one of our leadership models.
Yeah,
And who creates those questions?
Yes, ma'am, it's anonymous. So before I came along, it wasn't anonymous, and so they were hesitant. And after having several conversations in my office by several employees, I decided I need to make this anonymous. So some of them were not able to understand how to maneuver through an iPad. So what we do is we set up a day or two where they come in, and my secretary facilitates. They do a QR code, and they're able to do it anonymously, so they're able to freely answer. And then I work with the directors in my division to make sure that we're addressing whatever it is that they're not meeting up to par, whatever is a negative.
Who creates those questions?
English and
Yeah.
Spanish, yes. I'm fluent, so I translated it to not Google Translate Spanish, but to actual Spanish, and so they're able to understand. And then, like I said, my secretary is there monitoring in case they have questions or need a clarification. She'll respond and then walk away to make sure that they're answering it. So it's 100% participation because they do sign in just to cross off their name that they're there, but once they're on an iPad that we supply, there's no telling who it is.
And who puts together those questions?
I do. For my particular division, I do. So basically, I'm looking for making sure that we're following the district's culture and climate, customer service standards, emotional intelligence, that as leaders, the supervisors, including myself, that we're all exemplifying it to our employees, and that they feel valued and honored in their positions. And that's the goal. So ideally, that we see an improvement from the December survey to the May survey of every year. So since I just started it last semester, I want to see an improvement in everybody. If there were any negatives, I want to see less negatives.
So you have 100% participation because it's mandatory, or?
Correct, it's mandatory.
So they don't get to opt out if they don't want to do it.
Yeah, and it all stemmed from me hearing, listening to them come and speak about venting about situations. So the only way to improve it is if we self-evaluate. So once we determine, okay, there is an issue here, it's a consistent issue with the same topic. So if there's a lack of communication from their supervisor to them, then we need to work on communication for that. So I will analyze what we get as a result, and from that, we try to work on improving.
I understand the reasoning behind it, and I appreciate that you do it. I just don't know if mandatory is necessary. I mean, everybody should have the opportunity to opt out if they want to, but that's just my opinion. I just don't know that making it mandatory, maybe some people don't feel like they're ready to share or don't trust the process, right? But if it's mandatory, they have to do it whether they trust the process or not. And I don't know.
And they don't have
That's precisely why we don't make the district survey mandatory. That's why we have an 82% on any survey. That's a very, very strong sample if you look at research. So we can make that one adjustment, not make it mandatory.
I'm just, if it's mandatory, it may not be,
No.
Yeah. Your results may not be what you.
No, we've done a great job. I know that thinking back, Todd, to, was it 2014, 2015, there was that 1 year where we don't have data because a large portion of the staff wanted it done on paper because they didn't feel like there was a trust issue. So just the fact that we don't have any requests for paper is a testament to Ms. Canchola, JPCC, Todd, and everybody that's putting that out there, because people feel like it's not mandatory, and it's anonymous.
No, and I appreciate that. I'm just, my observation, when you said 100% participation, well, then obviously it's mandatory. And the trust issue will come into play, right? And I don't know that any of the population might even trust technology, because technology, you know, has a way of doing its thing. But just my observation, mandatory doesn't always mean, you know.
And some of the feedback that I have received is once that their email was not tied to them, they felt a lot better about responding. And this also goes back to my purchasing day, so we would do a survey also, internal and external, in purchasing, and they're continuing that also. So just to make sure that we're improving, constantly looking at ourselves and improving.
Okay, cool.
All right. Oh, thank you, Madam President. Thank you for taking that initiative. Is there a reason why it's not incorporated into the district climate survey?
Todd?
Well, no, there's not a reason. This has always been the TASB, but
this has always been a professional survey. That's the one issue. So then we need to do a better job on the paraprofessional side of getting feedback. Yeah.
Yeah, ours was across the board, everybody, but you were grouped in groups. For example, if you had a team of 15 people, so that you couldn't identify the unit or the team, you were grouped with 40 others. So you had a composite of that with the same category across the industry. But that also went to the various job classes in the support areas, such as your mechanics, your maintenance, et cetera, et cetera. So it really gave you an organizational climate survey across the board. You know how everybody felt and how everybody went. And leadership was done at a different time and was totally separate. And it kind of looked at who you supervise in that environment, your peers. It was almost a 360, and then your superior. So I'm just kind of interested to see that, you know, we don't, I'm not saying you should. I'm just, you know, if you're doing a climate survey of the organization, to me, I would think that that would include every employee. Just a thought. And then, but thank you for initiating that, Ms. Gonzalez, in your area. And I do agree with the mandatory. And Ms. Contrella, thank you for your years of service.
Thank you.
Really appreciate everything you've done for your students, for this district, for our community. Wish you well in your retirement.
Thank you.
Kudos to you for coming out of your retirement, because it just happened, and here you are. But thank you. And as far as the JPCC, it's the Joint Professional Consultation Committee, and so it provides a lot of information from across the section. So you may want to share a little bit of how that's structured and who's involved in the JPCC.
It involves, there are 4 organizations, but only 3 of them are active with the district, and that's ATPE, AFT, and TCTA.
If you can give us the full, if you can.
AFT is American Federation of Teachers. ATPE is Association of Professional Educators.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
Teacher Educators,
Mm-hmm.
and then TCTA is Texas Classroom Teachers Association.
Gotcha.
And so those 3 organizations, we have a representative, we have the president, then we have a representative from the elementary section, and then the secondary section. So you have 3 from each organization that meet monthly to address concerns that are submitted through the district page.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much again. Thank you,
Thank you. Thank you.
Trustee Salvador took my words.
I just wanted to say one thing.
Sure,
I think it makes me really, really happy that the campus environment scored so high. I mean, taking 2021 out of the whole,
Right.
because that
COVID.
it looks like that was just COVID. But as far as campus environment, even relationship with supervisors, all of those are extremely high 80s, low 90s. But I think looking at the trust issues with district leadership, superintendent, and board of trustees, we have work to do. So I appreciate Ms. Controla's kind words and kind of glossing over that, but I do feel that we do have a lot of issues as a board and as a team to address, and so, but what kind of balances that out is it makes me happy that teachers are comfortable in their home campuses with their leadership there. So that makes me feel a lot better.
And another data point, if you wanted to look further, if you want to go, prior to 8 years ago, that lived in the 60s.
Right.
So consistently in the 60s to consistently in the high 70s, 80s. We have a lot of work to do, but we're better than we've been.
Thank you so much, everybody. And for the public, if you'd like to see it in the spreadsheet format, it is in Board Book. It is attached. We didn't show it on the screen because it's the exact same thing that we were discussing. But if your brain works that way, feel free to log on to Board Book and see the spreadsheet. This item was for information purposes only. So we will go to 11B2, discussion and possible action update to Board Policy DEC Local, compensation and benefits, leaves and absences. This is the second reading. Dr. Gonzalez.
11B2, administration's recommending the revision of DEC local to align the DECA legal and reflect the district's current practice. And we have Mr. Todd Miller, our Assistant Superintendent for HR, who has more information.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. Administration is recommending the following 2 revisions to Board Policy DEC. On the slide there, under state and personal leave, revise the local leave paragraph as follows. Each employee shall earn 5 paid local leave days per school year in accordance with administrative regulations. A couple years back, we added the sentence, for the 21-22 school year only, each employee shall earn an additional 5 paid local leave days in accordance with administrative regulations. And that's to help people through the COVID timeframe, but it was for that 1 year only. So administration is recommending the removal of that paragraph, or that sentence, excuse me. And I'm going to go down to, and I got the numbers just for the COVID cases. You can see that was as of May 15th. Let me go down to the second part here. And continued under FMLA, revise the 12-month period paragraph as follows. For purposes of an employee's entitlement to FMLA leave, the 12-month period shall be measured backward from the date an employee uses FMLA leave. And crossed out there, begin on the first duty day of the school year. This revision is necessary to align policy DEC local with policy DECA legal, which is leaves and absences, family and medical leave, to reflect our current practice. And there is no impact to eligibility for employees currently on FMLA. Board policy DECA legal. Under leave and entitlement use determining the 12-month period, except with respect to military caregiver leave, a district may choose any one of the following methods for determining the 12-month period in which the 12-week of leave entitlement occurs. And we have been using, our practice has been a rolling 12-month period measured backward from the date an employee uses any FMLA leave. So we're just trying to get DEC local in line, if you will, with our practice. And this is the second reading, sorry. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you so much, Mr. Miller. This requires action. Is there any discussion before we call for a motion?
I move to approve the recommended adjustments to DEC local policy.
Second.
It's been moved by trustee Saldivar, second by trustee Rivera. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. 11B3, discussion and possible action on request for proposal number 2024-1002, student accident insurance and student accident voluntary insurance. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, ma'am. Administration solicited proposals from vendors for student accident insurance. We have Mr. Todd Miller. We also have Mr. Andres Silva, and they're here to answer any questions you might have. We are requesting action on this item. Mr. Miller, Mr. Silva, welcome.
I will turn it over to Andy once he makes it to the podium.
Yes, good evening. So this item is regarding the student accident insurance. So the district does purchase policy to assist parents related to any injuries that might happen in UIL school-sponsored events. We exhausted our options to renew, so we went out to bid on this particular policy, and we are asking for award to the recommended vendor, which is Texas Student Resources with Mutual of Omaha. It is a reduction of about $16,000 from the current policy, and we are getting a 2-year guarantee. So this helps us for budgeting over a 2-year time frame.
Any questions? Is there a motion on the floor?
Madam President, I move to approve the request proposal 2024-1002 for the student athletic insurance as recommended by administration with the student accident voluntary insurance associated with Mutual of Omaha.
Second.
It's been moved by trustee Saldivar, second by trustee Regalado. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. 11B4, discussion and possible action of compensation plan for 2023-2024 school year. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, ma'am. Per Board Policy DEA Local, Superintendent shall recommend an annual compensation plan for all district employees. Due to limited financial resources, administration is recommending we cannot provide a compensation adjustment for a 23-24 school year. However, administration is recommending that the board approve one of the proposed one-time pay scenarios, and we are requesting action on this item. I know we had discussion on it. I know we have a follow-up meeting. So administration recommends that
No, we table this item
we
until.
table this item.
Actually, what we want to do is take no action. Tabling, it creates
Okay.
another
We will,
parliamentary. so-
administration recommends we take no action on this item.
Second.
It's been moved by trustee De La Garza, second by trustee Saldivar. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We will table.
Take no action.
Take no action.
Yeah, could table, somebody else can later on by parliamentary procedure take it off the table and reconsider it during the meeting. You don't want that to happen. You want to move on.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
11B5, discussion and possible action on memorandum of understanding number 2024-029 Juvenile Justice Alternative Education Program with Hidalgo County Juvenile Board. Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes, ma'am. Administration utilizes this agreement to comply with the requirements of Section 37.011 of the Texas Education Code. We have Mr. Todd Miller, our Assistant Super HR, and Mr. John Cavazos, our Director for Student Support Services, that can answer any questions, and we are requesting action on this item. I see Mr. Cavazos up at the podium. Mr. Miller?
Yes, Dr. Gonzalez, thank you. I've asked John Cavazos, Director of Student Support Services, to come up and explain what juvenile justice alternative education is and how it works here at McAllen ISD. So.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
So, by law, every juvenile probation department in each county in the state of Texas is required to establish and oversee a juvenile justice alternative education program. So what does that mean for our students? Well, any student in McAllen ISD who commits a disciplinary infraction that either requires a mandatory expulsion or a discretionary expulsion by law is required to attend the JJAEP. So myself and my staff at Student Support Services, we comprise the expulsion hearing committee, and all expulsions have to go through me and our department. We establish if it requires a mandatory or discretionary expulsion, and we establish the number of days that a student can be assigned to the JJAEP. So this MOU is entered on a yearly basis with the county, and it outlines the district's responsibilities and the county's responsibilities to educate any of our students who may have committed a mandatory or discretionary expellable offense.
Does anybody have any questions?
Is there a cost associated with this?
There is a cost only for discretionary expulsions. There is a daily rate that the county establishes. So any students that we expel due to a discretionary expellable offense, we do get charged for that placement.
Is it a flat rate?
It's a flat rate, $105 a day.
Now, one thing I will say is when students get into issues at the campus level, we have a campus AEP for discretionary infractions based on Chapter 37. Then when they commit more serious offenses, we have the District Alternative Education Program. That's the ING Center. And in the ING Center, we establish a Level 2. The Level 2 within the ING Center, our District Alternative Education Program, prevents us from doing discretionary removals to JJAEP. So it's few and far between. Do we send a kid on a discretionary infraction to JJAEP? It's usually a mandatory, depending on possession of a substance that meets that criteria.
And with that said, any student that commits a mandatory expellable offense, we do not get charged on those.
And we don't have discretion, obviously.
Thank you.
And if it's not used, it will be refunded, right? Correct?
Correct,
Okay.
correct. We have a budgeted amount, but whatever amount is not used, the county will reimburse the district back. So we are expecting a sizable reimbursement. We should be seeing that in August.
Thank you.
How many kids more or less have been sent through that program, through the JJA?
Well, for this past school year, we expelled 13 students, 9 of which were mandatory expulsions, and then 4 were discretionary. But even though we sent the discretionary, we're still expecting a sizable amount of reimbursement back.
Yes.
When you expel a student, and they go to a new district, is that on their, does that follow them on their transcript?
Yes, it does, and it's up to the receiving district to honor our expulsion if we decided to expel. Same thing, if we receive a student from another district who tries to enroll in our district, it is our option to also honor the
Their
expulsion from the other district as well.
Right. And I do want to commend Student Support Services because we go the extra mile for our students. We know they're kids. Sometimes kids make mistakes, so we try to use our discretion to keep them out of situations where they end up at JJEP or even at the ING. And then at the same time, we have our police department with the first offender program, so that they have opportunities on the legal side to get some grace and some empathy there. So we do encourage our students to follow the student code of conduct and stay out of trouble. And fortunately for us, our ING center, the DAEP, has been doing a tremendous job, and we have a great relationship with JJAEP as well.
They are asking for action.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by trustee De La Garza, second by trustee Peña. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes 7-0. 11C, District Operations, under Alejandra Gonzalez. 11C1, Discussion and Possible Action on Competitive Sealed Proposal Number 2023-1050, Paving Improvements for McAllen High School Service Drive and Woodrow Wilson Elementary School. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, ma'am. Administration solicited proposals for paving improvements at McAllen High and at Wilson Elementary. We have Ms. Alejandra Gonzalez, our Assistant Super for District Ops, and we also have Mr. Ruben Trevino here, our Executive Director for FMO, who are available to answer any questions, and we are requesting action on this item. Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes, do y'all have any questions for me? This is a paving improvement for both Mac High and Wilson. We had one vendor submit only. We did extend it for 2 weeks, but only still received the one vendor. They came in at $355,305. That includes the contingency of $30,000. And it was verified by our civil engineer.
Madam President, when was the last time these two parking lots were paved? Is this a ceiling or is it actual paving? I mean, is it going down to in the core and starting over, or is it just a seal top on it?
This is where they go in and mill all the edges around all the curves, just like we've done on the past campuses.
Okay.
And I want to say that service drive at Mackay has not been paved, I don't know since when. It's been a long time.
1984.
How long you been, Ruben? How long?
That part was delayed from when we did Bulldog Drive, and one of the other parking areas was because we were using the cranes to install the chillers along the service drives, and that's a reason that we postponed that section alone.
How long have you been in your spot, Ruben?
8 years.
8 years, yeah, and I've been up here 12 years, so it's been more than 12.
Yes.
And what's the general condition of this at this time? This surface area around the perimeter, what's the general condition?
As far as...
in other words, is it separated from the cement side and there's water going underneath? Is it an integrity issue, do we know?
There's just an extreme amount of penetration going into the underlayment, and it needs to happen. We have all of our service trucks, food service, deliveries, everything that happens along Mackay, and that is part of the drop-off and pickup exits.
So it's routine maintenance to prevent us from having a larger.
Yes.
In both locations?
Yes.
And there's no way we could hold off another year?
Yes.
If you wish, we can hold off another year.
I'm suggesting we hold off on another year if we possibly can. I know it's only $355,000, but, we got to start somewhere.
But, but if you hold off for another year with the type of weather we've had, like rain and all of that, you've got heavy trucks going through there every day, right?
Correct.
I mean, is it going to be more expensive potentially?
It's like the Indiana Jones ride at Disney.
The 355 includes both campuses.
Okay.
Okay. I wish we would get pictures like that.
Could we just get like a better, like pictures maybe, and give us a better explanation and then bring it back maybe? I mean, I know that we're trying to save money, but if in the long run it's going to cost us more because of the wear and tear that it takes on the daily and it's already in need of repair, we could be potentially looking at.
We have pricing for both campuses separate.
Oh.
My recommendation at this point is that that drive at Mackay is in dire need of repair before it costs us more money in the future. Great point that you make, Trustee Peña, with the weather and everything we've had lately, it's just deteriorating more and more and more. We may have to go in there, recompact everything, tear out everything.
So doing patchwork like that, I mean, in the long run, one heavy rain will, dislodge all of that patchwork. I mean, we see it along North 10th, way north over. The city continues to put these little patches, and every time we get a good rain, they come right back off. I don't know. I mean, I appreciate the effort. I mean, if we can save the money, but in the long run, I don't want this board stuck with having to make a decision with more money.
One of the reasons we wanted to bring it to the board at this meeting was because if we were going to move forward with it, we'd like to take care of it when the kids are not there. So over the summer.
What's the one school?
Was this already budgeted for before?
Yes.
So
This is within budget, and it has been budgeted.
And I will say, I see it as a safety issue. I mean, I've driven that many times, and there are many trucks there, that's where you get all the deliveries, everything, and it's in need. I'm not sure about the Wilson one. I don't know if you want to make this a
and
two-part
it also causes damage to the vehicles too. These are heavy vehicles carrying a lot of a heavy load going through that kind of a
food services
turbulence.
comes through there, everything goes through there.
I don't know.
What's the MEC high portion by itself?
We are facing a wetter season.
I don't have the current bid sheet, just the total, but I want to say that Mackay alone is probably 2/3 of that price.
So it's gonna be wet.
Because it's been ignored for so long.
And again, been there, done that, facilities and all that. I'm not saying it doesn't need to be done. And yes, there's that possibility, but we've lived through that before. I mean, we had a lot of issues with chillers, a lot of issue with a lot of things within district, roofs and all that, and sometimes we had to. And having served through all of that and just frustrated with it, but that was the nature of the situation in order to make sure we had enough money to compensate our staff. And so that's the dilemma. We all know it. And so I would suggest just to do the MAC high, being that it sounds like it's that serious and that severe. And if it's 2/3, it's 2/3. And then let's postpone the other one for a year and see where we are. That would be my
I'm good with that.
You want to make that motion that way?
Yes, I move to proceed only with the project regarding MAC High under request for proposal 2023-1050, the paving improvements with GST Construction Incorporated from Edinburgh, Texas.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by trustee Saldivar, second by trustee De La Garza. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
11C2, discussion and possible action of the 2022-2023 ratification of the waivers approved by the superintendent. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, Madam President, we have the Texas Education Agency who requires that all waivers approved by the designee be ratified by the Board of Trustees, and we're recommending action on this item. We have Ms. Alejandra Gonzalez here if you have any questions. Ms. Gonzalez, any details?
Yes, the superintendent approved 46 waivers for low attendance. Oftentimes, for the new board members, this could be low attendance waivers, pregnancy-related services, or homebound services. These particular ones were only for low attendance, and there were 46 of them. So we have to always, on May 22nd, you approved the superintendent to approve them, but we were going to bring them back to let the board know how many, and then we need to submit them by July to the Texas Education Agency.
Since we've given the superintendent authority last time, is it just for information now, or you're asking for approval?
We actually need the board to a ratification of the waivers.
Gotcha.
Any further discussion?
Move to approve.
It's been moved by trustee De La Garza, seconded by trustee Kittleman. All in favor?
Aye.
7-0, it passes. 11C3, discussion and possible action on the third amendment to contract 2022-194 Park Place Recreation Designs. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, ma'am. The district and the vendor would like to amend the contract to extend the term. We have Ms. Alejandra Gonzalez, our Assistant Super District Ops, and we have Mr. Ruben Devino, our Executive Director, who can answer any questions, and we are requesting action on this item. Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir. We brought this back two times with the original one, and this is our second time to amend it. The first time we amended it was because there was a delay in equipment, and we had extended it to May 19th. Since then, we're looking to, then we extended it to June 30th, but right now, the manufacturer is asking that they were not able to prep the ground because of the rainy weather, so they're asking for us to extend it through September 30th. This is from the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, and the city has already approved that we amend this and go through September 30th to try to get them installed, of course, with good weather.
And the full contract price is reimbursed by CDBG?
Yes, ma'am.
Any further discussion?
I move to approve as submitted by administrator.
Second.
It's been moved by trustee Saldivar, second by trustee Rivera. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Item 11C4, discussion and possible action on request for proposal number 2022-1031, athletic equipment, supplies, reconditioning services, and related products, round 11. Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes, ma'am. Administration solicited proposals from vendors to provide these products and services on an as-needed basis. Mr. McClenny's not here. He's at a state conference, but we do have Alejandra Gonzalez. We also have Alex Molina, who's here to answer any questions you might have. And we are requesting action on this item. Again, this is for athletic equipment, supplies, and reconditioning services.
This is like one of the requests for proposals from before. This particular one, this is round 11, so we've brought it before the board 10 different times, and it's just adding new vendors to this solicitation.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by trustee Peña, second by trustee Regalado. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. 11D, business operation items, Adele Felix. 11D1, report regarding interlocal cooperative agreement number 2020-002, Texas Association of School Board, TASB, purchasing cooperative by board. Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes, ma'am. Administration is required to report fees, including management fees paid by or to the district through the cooperative agreement in accordance with the Texas Education Code, Chapter 44, Section 44.0331. We have Mrs. Adele Felix, our Assistant Sup for Business Operations, and we have Alex Molina, who are here to answer any questions you might have. And this item is for informational purposes only.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. In accordance with Texas Education Code, Chapter 44, management fees under certain cooperative purchasing contracts, the school district is required to report fees, including management fees, paid by or to the district through interlocal cooperative agreements. The Texas Association of School Boards, TASB, by board, is a customized electronic purchasing system which is administered through local government purchasing cooperative. The purpose is to provide efficiencies for members of a cooperative to comply with state bidding requirements and to identify qualified vendors of commodities, goods, and services. The district has received $40,134.92 last year in rebates through by board, and the district paid a fee of $1,200 to the agency using budgeted funds.
Thank you, Ms. Felix.
Thank you.
Any questions? Item 11D3, report regarding interlocal cooperation agreement number 2020-001, OMNIA Partners. Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes, ma'am. Administration is required to report fees, including management fees paid for purchases by or to the district through this cooperative agreement in accordance with Texas Education Code, Chapter 44, Section 44.0331. And again, we have Ms. Felix here, and this is for information purposes only.
Thank you. Similar to the previous board item, this is required under Section 44031. As part of the State of Texas Cooperative Purchasing Program, we paid an annual fee of $100 for membership. That concludes.
Any further discussion? I'd love a motion. Oh, it's for information only. 11D4, report regarding interlocal cooperative agreement number 2020-004, the interlocal purchasing system, TIPS. Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes, ma'am. Administration is required to report fees, once again, including management fees for paid services. This one is report regarding the interlocal cooperative through TIPS, and we have Ms. Adele Felix is here, and this is for information purposes only. Ms. Felix?
This one is for Omnia Partners, D3, correct?
No.
Yes.
No fees, and we received $46,928.52 last year in rebates.
It was four.
Four?
Yes.
D4.
Did we skip three?
Did we?
We
No,
skipped
we did
11D2.
We did?
I think we skipped 11D2.
11D2?
Yeah,
Okay, we'll go back to that in a moment. Let's stay where we are.
okay, so 44. This is for tips, interlocal purchasing tips. The district received $929.98 last year in rebates through tips.
My apologies, that was information purposes only. Is
Yeah,
there
that
any-
was information.
Okay, we will go back to 11D2, the report regarding interlocal cooperative agreement number 2020-003, State of Texas Cooperative Purchasing Program.
Ms. Felix, the floor is yours.
Thank you. For this particular agency, we have similar to the previous board item, McAllen Independent School District pays an annual fee of $100 for membership.
Thank you. 11D5, report regarding intent to apply for fiscal year 2024-2025 Stronger Connections Grant Program. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, Madam President. The Texas Stronger Connection Grant is a funding opportunity to support systemic change in the way that the district addresses and responds to bullying, violence, and acts of hate. We have Ms. Laura Williams, our Director for Special Funding, who will share more information. And this is for information purposes only. Ms. Williams.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez, and good evening, Board of Trustees. This is for the fiscal year 24-25 Stronger Connections Grant Program. We have already put in for our intent to apply, as well as per grant guidelines, we had to recommend 3 individuals within the district for possible review of the applications that are submitted statewide. Should we receive one of the anticipated 60 awards, we would work with Mr. Cavazos and his department, as well as with Adrian Garza and his staff, to not only we will work with him to write this grant, but also should we be awarded to implement this grant. In addition, this grant, TEA has requested 6 different ESCs across the state to oversee this grant. So whichever partner the TEA selects, then we would obviously partner with them, as well as the Texas Center for Student Supports. We would implement this across 3 campuses, 1 elementary, 1 middle, 1 high. And the funds that we would receive, we would hope to put in place an application for our students that is called Help Me. And this application provides a wealth of information, resources for our students. If we can go on to the next slide, please. Thank you, Ms. Felix. Resources for where our students, if a student should need food, need shelter, they can go in, and this application would notify our staff so that we could meet those needs of our students. In addition to resources for reporting bullying. I know we have a district Google form currently. However, this application does have a platform for allowing for that bullying, anonymous bullying notification. Again, going back to campus administration and district administration so that we can investigate those allegations. Going on to even for our grades 6 through 12, they can meet with a therapist out of Frisco, Texas, meet with a live therapist to provide resources that they would need. So that is the highlights of the 24-25 Stronger Connections Grant Program.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
Thank you.
Why is the therapist in Frisco, Texas, and not someone local?
That is
the way the grant is written?
Yes, well, with the Help Me application, that's who they have partnered with. It's not necessarily would be up to our selection. It's that application.
I'm just concerned about someone from Frisco, Texas, understanding the kids down here and the culture down here.
True.
It's quite different. The areas are quite different.
True.
Will that sensitivity be the same? Obviously they're trained professionals, and I don't question that. I'm just curious why we would, have an app that kids would rely on someone from a quite different area, but, if we can receive that money, that's great.
That would be that's all encompassing. However, we can elect to forego that one should we choose. It's about $200 for everything. It's about $256,000 for all 30 campuses. Although this grant would start out with 3 campuses.
Okay. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
Thank you.
That was for information purposes only. And I hope everyone understands now why we put all these things in consent agenda, because it takes an hour and a half to go through them all. And so thank you very much for doing that tonight, and hopefully we won't do that again.
Unless you want to pull it.
Yeah,
Unless you want to
yes,
individually pull.
yes. 11D6, discussion and possible action of McAllen Independent School District June budget amendment for fiscal year beginning July 1, 2022 and ending June 30, 2023. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, ma'am. Administration recommends that the board approve the June 2023 budget amendment for the 2022-2023 fiscal year. And then, once again, we're requesting action on this item.
Ms. Felix? He's watching that graduation video again.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes.
General fund, we have, I'll go over the big items here. Let me zoom in. We have an analysis of projections or tax collections. We have an increase of 510,000 based on actuals, as we're seeing as a result of our declared disaster pennies that we did see. Another big item here is the 307,205 increase to the market value gain for Fund 197. This is our qualified school construction note 2011 that we earn interest on this and then we are due to pay it back. So this is just accruing for that revenue. Then we have, you'll see throughout the whole budget amendment, you'll see that there is this increase to teacher retirement system on behalf. What this is a paper entry. It's an in and an out. And really what it does, it reports to the state matching portion for our government accounting standards boards required for our fiscal year end once we do the audit. But that's just a requirement that we need to put out there. It's a paper entry in and out. It's a wash. And then you'll see here an increase to indirect costs from federal grants, Fund 282 ESSER 3. So this is in lieu of a reclass. As we've mentioned a lot about our reclass to ESSER, we took a lot of the payroll and put it into our ESSER category, but this, we need to match it with our indirect costs that we receive from other grants, which is equivalent to, like, for instance, food services. We collect a certain percentage, I believe it's 8.27. And this just makes it easier for tracking, and we are able to get the interest. You'll see an offset of 1 million from our indirect due to timing for that purpose, but it doesn't change the amount we receive. It's just that same projects that we've been talking about, the 12.5 million. It doesn't change that whole image. And you'll see that in the function 11, you'll see that exact amount of 3,916,000. So instead of reclassing payroll, we're just taking indirect costs. And the next page, you'll see the big items, which are transfer from assigned fund balance, facilities, maintenance, and operations, additional needs due to inflated equipment costs. It's about $300,000. We also see the needs from assigned fund balance of $925,310, and that's due to storm damage repairs that we've been asked for. As well as you'll see increased electricity based on actual usage. So that 510 that we recognized in tax revenue, we put it into the electricity cost based on our projections that everything's coming out. Now, I know it's 510,000, right? So we used to be with a different electricity company, and in 2022 we entered with EDF Energy, that we were expecting to see a savings about $1 million. So we did see a savings of $500,000, not $1 million, and that was based on the new rate. So what was budgeted was originally was 4.8, was budgeted in the 22-23 was 3.8. So we're seeing that increase based on actuals.
And I'm sorry, this electrical, for how many, what time frame is it for?
22, it was locked in for 7 years, I believe, so 2022, and that's just the rate, the fixed price rate for the usage.
And so why didn't we not realize the full million? What changed if we were supposedly locked in?
So we're locked in, but there's other fees associated to it as well, right? So it's just the usage kilowatt, it's a kilowatt, yes. That portion, but the others are independent, and we've seen other increases, right? And also the Caballo contract, we had a couple of months that went into it as those were dying down in September. So we had an additional 2 or 3 months of caballo as well.
Okay, so what were these incidental things that were not part of the kilowatt, part of the contract that changed, that we lost $500,000?
Well, we didn't lose, we did save.
it.
But-
We did save. It was just projection on usage at that point, the
Yeah,
original.
but you
when we
mentioned there were
entered
some
into-
charges that were taken that we had not anticipated, that you.
Not
had-
that we didn't anticipate, but there was a fluctuation in the rates. The fixed price rate
Okay.
is what we were holding on to. But there was also a carry forward of the Caballo energy contract that went into September. So we had July, August, September, 3 additional months that we were hoping that we were going to see the entire savings, but we only saw 500,000 of it.
I'm not going to belabor, but, you know, when a statement's made, it said we were hoping to realize $1 million and we only realized $500,000, it's going to.
Correct, it's going to raise, yes.
Yeah, so
I
I'm
can
trying to
provide
understand,
it.
how do we, if we're expecting to, and we're in a contract, how did it not be materialized? That's what I'm trying to understand, but that's fine. We move on. Okay. And so the going to another item, $925,310 for damage. This is estimated by our insurance carrier, by us, by independent?
By our facility maintenance and operations.
By our facility maintenance and operation. And this is all inclusive, or are they still doing an assessment?
They're still doing an assessment, it's not complete.
All right, this accounts for how many facilities do we know?
That particular amount was the first additional needs assessment that FMO submitted. And we are still, you know, finalizing the other facilities that we still have pending. We also had a preliminary meeting with our insurance carrier, insurance adjuster team last week with Mr. Silva as well and his staff. And this particular total here, I would say would probably be around 70 to 75% of what will be needed.
Okay. So about 70 to 75% of what, of the estimated damage in all our facilities, or just certain number that we're?
Only certain number.
All right. So what number are we talking about?
The majority, I think we went over some of these facility, some of our campus names. The majority of the damage that was sustained was over at Thickman Zavala with the portable. We also had Navarro with the roof. We had Mackay with the restroom areas. We had Brown with the additional, with the building outside. And we also had some athletic fencing that was quite damaged due to the netting and everything that was up, along with tennis courts.
All right. Have all the facilities been assessed to make sure there's no other damage that we are not anticipating? Have every facility, all our campuses, all administrative, have we gone and inspected all of them to see if there's any damage?
At this point, the team that was sent out by the carrier has finished, and we're pending that report. And we went out and assessed on our behalf what we needed to assess.
All right, because that tells me that we only look, having done that, is that somebody says, I have damage to my roof, we go inspect the roof. But you're supposed to inspect outlying buildings as well, if you're
Correct.
doing an assessment on a residential area. If it's a commercial, again, you cover the structure, the main structure, and you're allowed a certain percentage for exterior other storage facilities, et cetera, et cetera. And so I always ask my employees, did you inspect all the buildings on that property for which we insure, whether it's direct or subsequent structure? So that's what I'm trying to get here. Did we as FMNO go through all our facilities, whether that we know they had damage or not, just to make sure there's no other damage covered under a policy?
We deployed our teams out there right after the storm and made sure that we walked all the facilities along with our custodial teams at the campuses and recorded and took pictures of everything that we had on our part.
Okay. So, Mr. Thrain, you feel really comfortable that what you have so far and what remains is pretty much all the damage?
What we have so far, yes, up to
Okay.
date.
All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate the report. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Any
For
more
debt
discussion?
service, we didn't have significant items, 40,000 for tax collections. And then here for capital projects is what I was alluding to. This is a timing issue of a pending reclass with the indirect costs, and that will come back in the next fiscal year. And that concludes.
Just help me out on this federal one. It says $3.9 million. It says increase in indirect costs from the federal grants, Fund 282. It went out and you're just accounting for those funds that went out and they're
Correct.
for
So-
projects that had already been previously approved out of ESSER.
Correct, so it doesn't change our ending reclass, it's just a different way as opposed to just reclassing, like say my payroll to 282, I'm collecting an indirect cost. It has the same effect.
But this is payroll. 282 was payroll, actually.
So originally, part of it was, so let's say it's my payroll, I'm gonna reclass myself into 282 so that I can free up my 194 local to do the projects that we had said. So now instead of reclassing me, I'm able to collect 3.9 without having to make that shift, that adjustment. So it's just the same, it'll result in the same way, it's just a cleaner way to do it.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. This action is requiring a motion, or this item is requiring action. Would anybody like to?
Okay, I'll move to approve.
I'll second that.
It's been moved by trustee Pena, second by trustee Saldivar. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Item 11D7 has been pulled. Item 11D.
Want to take no action on that?
I prefer to take a motion for no action.
Yeah, no action on the budget.
Okay, 11D7, discussion and possible action of the adoption of the McAllen Independent School District budget for fiscal year beginning July 1, 2023 and ending June 30, 2024.
I move to take no action, Madam President, this time.
It's been moved by trustee Saldivar and second by trustee De La Garza to take no action. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. 11D8, discussion and possible action of proposal number 2021-1012, trophies, T-shirt awards, incentives, and related products and services, round 19. Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes, ma'am. Administration solicited proposals from vendors to provide these products and services on an as-needed basis. We have Ms. Adele Felix. We also have Ms. Alejandra Gonzalez, along with Ms. Alex Molina, who can answer any questions with regard to this item, and administration is recommending action.
Does everybody feel comfortable now, so we can vote on this without going into discussion? Okay. I mean, if you'd like to discuss it, can give a presentation, Ms. Gonzalez can give a presentation. If not, I'd love to entertain a motion.
I move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by trustee Regalado, second by trustee Rivera. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. 11D2, discussion and possible action of continuation of interlocal cooperation agreement number 2017-095, Hidalgo County Tax Assessment and Tax Collections. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, ma'am. Administration utilizes this agreement for tax assessment and collections, and we have Ms. Adele Felix with more information. Ms. Felix.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. We have an interlocal cooperation agreement for tax assessment and collections with Hidalgo County for an annual fee. This agreement automatically renews for subsequent tax years unless written by notification. And also they limit any increase by 5% per year. This year, there is no increase in the fee. It will remain at $166,248. We are recommending action.
This is requiring action?
Just to be clear, at one time, the school district did have its own tax collecting entity, and some issues occurred.
Correct.
And ever since then, it was long before I got on the board. And so it was decided it was more cost effective and address some of the issues raised by what occurred. So that's why we have this contract. So as much as I'd like to cost save in this case, there is a cost associated whether you do it internally, externally, and there's problematic issues that have arisen in the past. We probably don't want to revisit.
Compensation, any type of insurance and software.
Administration is requiring action on this item.
I move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by trustee Regalado, second by trustee Pena. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. 11E, Board of Trustee items. 11E1, the recognition of McAllen ISD Board of Trustee appointed as Sophia Pena, appointed as president of the Region 1 School Board Association. And Ms. Pena, do you want to talk about it? Do you want to say explain what it is, what ROSPA is?
So ROSPA is the Region 1 School Board Association, which encompasses all school districts in the Region 1 area. And as such, they require that any conferences, meetings, or whatever have a board. And so this year I was selected or elected as president of the Region 1 School Board Association. And I'm very proud not just to represent the district, but to be able to tout all that we do at McAllen ISD and to sit up there and represent McAllen ISD in the community that we live in is a real proud moment for me. And so thank you very much for the recognition. I will do my best to do a good job.
You'll do great.
Yeah, no, fantastic. It's
Thank
very
you.
exciting to sit at the conference and see our own trustee there as the president of the Region 1. So thank you so much, Trustee Peña, and congratulations.
Congratulations.
And that's pretty much every district. Thank you. That's pretty much every district south of San Antonio. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done.
11E2, discussion and possible action on the Board of Education meeting minutes. Administration is recommending action on this item. There is 11E2A, board workshop, May 8th. 11E2B, regular board meeting, May 8th. 11E2C, board workshop, May 15th. 11E2D, special board meeting, May 17th. 11E2, regular board meeting, May 22nd. 11E2F, school safety and security committee meeting, June 1st.
Move to approve. All the meetings.
It's been moved by Trustee Peña, second by Trustee Regalado. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. 11E3, discussion and possible action for Board of Trustees to serve as McAllen Education Foundation Board of Directors member. So this is something, as per their bylaws, the board president sits on it for a school year and another trustee. They meet one time a month at the noon hour. And what I was hoping to do is get a nomination first for the actual trustee to sit on their board, and then a second as an alternative in case myself or the newly nominated trustee cannot make it, to ensure that there's always two trustees at the Education Foundation. It's an incredible organization to be a part of. It's fundraising on behalf of the district, and it's all sorts of community members, very active community members that sit on that board. It's a great board to sit on. So if you would like to self-nominate yourself, or if somebody here would like to nominate somebody else, I've sat on it multiple times. It's a very rewarding thing to sit on. I don't know if anyone has any.
I've also sat on that board before, and what McAllen Education Foundation does for the district is invaluable. And so I would love to see one of the new trustees take that on so that you can get that experience. But it is absolutely rewarding, and you do get to network with a lot of the members of the community that serve on that board, and it's pretty interesting. So
Yeah, I mean, we have students right now in Spain as a result of their efforts in a very short period of time to raise the funds to provide those students a way to get there. And they funded golf tournaments. They have helped us out on the bowling. But the key, I think, is what they do for our students and the individual grants for the various teachers to provide, the STEAM part. With innovative ideas, which they have to promote and they have to write up and present, and then they get awarded. And so I think it's a very worthwhile thing, and something we need to continue. There was a time where it died. It didn't exist anymore, and we brought it back to life, and they've excelled in all possible expectations that we could ever hope for. And so I would nominate Erica de la Garza Lopez to serve on that.
Are there any other
I
nominations?
said it so quick before you could say anything.
Do you accept the nomination?
Yes, I accept the nomination.
Is there any other Okay, well, let's have a motion to nominate Trustee De La Garza,
I just nominated.
but we don't,
I nominated.
I'll second the nomination.
well, we don't need a second for nominations, but we do need a motion to pass the nomination, don't we?
No, you vote on
No.
the person that was nominated.
Oh,
Okay.
so we'll
She
vote.
accepted, you accepted?
Unless you have any other nominations, and then you have to vote on which nomination.
Well, we are gonna have a second nomination in a moment, because I need an alternative, so let's
No,
vote.
no, I'm saying for this one, if somebody else,
Right,
Yeah.
nobody else, okay. So Trustee De La Garza has been nominated, all in favor?
aye.
All opposed? So Trustee De La Garza, congratulations, you are the newest member. So now, we would like a second nomination for the alternate person to go, so that,
I would nominate Lizzie Kittleman.
Second.
I'll be in court.
Yeah. Okay, so all in favor of trustee Kittleman, do you accept the nomination? All in favor of trustee Kittleman being the alternate?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Congratulations. You were the alternate, so no. Okay, yay, at number 12, we can recess to closed session. The Board of Trustees may go into closed session pursuant to section 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, and 551.076, and 551.089 Texas Government Code to discuss the following. 12A, discussion of human resource recommendations for the year 23-24, discussion of human resource employee resignations and retirees for school year 2022-2023, discussion of recommendation for the principal of Alonzo de Leon Middle School, discussion regarding school safety and security, pending and/or potential litigation, possible action on settlement, release, and assignment of 2023-215 with Western Surety, thank you, Company CNA Insurance Group as performance bond surety for Protec Integration Systems, Inc., DBA Protec Security Systems, on competitive sealed bid, sealed proposal number 2021-127, location 1, Kathy Middle School, and location 2, Jackson Elementary School, and also for possible real estate acquisition. So at 7 p.m., we will go into executive session. Y'all can stay here and we will move. Thank you for rejoining us. It is now 8:30 PM, and we were going back into open from closed session. We are at item number 13, reconvening open session at 8:30 PM. Item number 14, action of items in closed session. A, discussion and possible action of human resource recommendations for school year 2023-2024. Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes, ma'am. HR is submitting a list of recommendations for the 2023-2024 school year under separate cover for discussion during closed session, and administration is requesting action on this item.
Move to approve, Madam President.
Second.
It's been moved by trustee Saldivar, seconded by trustee Regalado. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Item 14B, discussion of human resources employee resignations and retirees for school year 2022-2023. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, ma'am. Human Resources is submitting a list of resignations and retirees for the 2022-2023 school year under separate cover for discussion during closed session, and this item is for information purposes only.
Thank you. 14C, discussion and possible action on recommendations for the principal at Alonso de Leon Middle School. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, ma'am. Administration recommends Ignacio Alanis for the principal position at Alonso de Leon Middle School, and administration is recommending action on this item.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by trustee Regalado, second by trustee Rivera. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations, Principal Ignacio Alanis. Item 14D, discussion regarding school safety and security. That was for information purposes only. Item 14E, pending and/or potential litigation. 14E1, possible action on settlement, release, and assignment of 2023-215 with Western Surety Company CNA Insurance Group as performance bond surety for Protec Integration Systems, Inc., DBA Protec Security Systems on competitive sealed proposal number 2021-127, location 1, Cathay Middle School, and location 2, Jackson Elementary School. Board, what say ye?
I move to proceed to negotiate towards the resolution of this matter as discussed in closed session.
Second.
It's been moved by trustee Saldivar and second by trustee Rivera. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Item 15S, possible real estate acquisition. There was no information, or no action, nothing. Number 15, schedule of future meetings. 15A, special board meeting July 31st. 15B, regular board meeting August 14th. 15C, regular board meeting August 28th.
We need that other issue.
Do we want,
Yeah.
if we're going to, well, we don't know if, oh yeah, we for sure do. Yes, we need to add in June 19th. Let's add in, I'm sorry, Mr. Saldana, you were gonna.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
What'd I do?
Regarding the motion language on the settlement on item E,
Yes?
I'm not exactly sure what the motion Mr. Saldiva made on that.
The motion was, trustee, our board president had read the agenda item, so I didn't need to do that. So I made the motion as she had read the item that's before us with the parties involved, that we proceed to negotiate and settle based on what was discussed in closed session.
All right, so we do have the word settlement in.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Negotiate and settle. I didn't want to state the amount.
as discussed in executive session.
Executive session. I use the term closed session. Do you prefer I reword and, okay.
Closed, no, that's fine, it doesn't matter.
But the
Just
word
as long
settlement
as-
was there and negotiate was there and it was enclosed. Are we good?
Would you like me to read the exact language?
It would be best if it's just move to approve the settlement as discussed in executive session.
Then I rescind the previous motion. I request that we rescind the previous motion. So we have to vote my previous motion down. If you second that. Okay.
Okay, it's been moved by trustee Saldivar and seconded by trustee De La Garza to rescind trustee Saldivar's and trustee Rivera's earlier motion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes 7-0 to rescind. Now we will have to, are you going to amend your first motion?
No, I'm just going to totally
You're gonna
restate
make
it,
an
and the language will be that we move to proceed to settle the case as discussed in closed session.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by trustee Saldivar and seconded by trustee Rivera. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Madam President, we do have that other issue. Do we need to have a motion regarding proceeding towards the action that we were discussing in closed session?
I'm not quite sure, Mr. Saldivar, exactly what you're talking about as far as the other issue in regards to this particular item.
No, it's not
No,
even
the other
listed
item
here.
doesn't need an action item.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
It was the employee.
Okay.
Okay.
No, sir.
All right, thank you.
Not required.
So we're back to 15D. We are going to add a board workshop, June 19th at, what did we decide on the time?
1 p.m.
At 1 p.m. And we're going to add a board meeting at 3 p.m. on June 19th. And we're going to set up a TV monitor for that meeting because for sure 2 will be out, possibly 3, but we will have 4 in the room to have quorum. So we will have to set up monitors for that. Yes, you can zoom in, yeah. Okay.
As long as 4 of us
Or
are
in the
present.
room.
And there has to be a monitor for the public knowledge
Yes.
that we're on.
Yeah.
Cameras to stay on.
Okay, so we're at item 16, to adjourn our 5 p.m. board meeting. It's been moved by trustee De La Garza,
Second.
second by trustee Saldivar. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. So we are adjourned at 8:37 p.m. We will reopen our 3 p.m. budget workshop at 8:37 p.m. Let's all stand and stretch for a little bit since we've been sitting here since 3 p.m.
2-minute break.
I think so too.
Let's do it.
Let's, before we go,
Well, we
Yeah.
haven't reconvened yet, so we're good.
yes, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.